Hey guys, today I have my mom and dad with me today. I'm going to present to them my overall capstone project, and it involves a big poster like you see here, an essay, and the website I created, the portfolio. So mom and dad, if you didn't know, I studied law, economics, and public policy. Hopefully you guys did know that. But what I am trying to show you guys is what abilities I have learned during my time at the school, in the School of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences. And you can see here, I have a big poster that I created so you guys can follow along as I explain to you guys, as well as a portfolio that kind of outlines my whole college experience. So let's go ahead and get started with the portfolio. Portfolio right here, I was tasked to create a sort of a website that was telling a little bit about myself, what I did throughout my time in the School of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences, which is where my major is under, the Law, Economics, and Public major. So what I wanted to do here is show a little bit about myself, and as you can see right here in the beginning of my portfolio, you can see a little bit of a kind of summary of who I am and why I wanted to go into law, economics, and public policy. And so I wanted to use this also as a professional artifact. What I mean by artifact is something that I can show my possible employers, and they'll be able to see my email address, my phone number, and I also link my resume on there. So that's pretty much the overview of the homepage of my portfolio. And once you go over here to the side, you'll be able to see all the other things that I have on my portfolio. For example, we'll go to posters and maps. The posters are right here, but at the beginning of my last quarter, I was tasked to kind of show my journey throughout my undergraduate experience. As you lived it with me, but I'll kind of explain it right here. After high school, I knew I wanted to go into medicine because I wanted to help people, but it didn't work out with medicine, so I decided to join the Law, Economics, and Public Policy program after I took a couple government classes. Really enjoyed it, so it kind of took me along to where we are here, starting with the INS project. And as you go throughout this kind of timeline, you'll be able to see how I progressed throughout my 4 years at UW-Bothell. It was a very transformative experience. I'm really thankful I took the steps that I did. But later on, you guys can just kind of go through the map if you guys would like to. And then we'll go on to the next page, the annotated bibliography that I have here, right there. The annotated bibliography is fancy speak for what I did throughout my time at UW-Bothell. And what I was trying to do here is kind of highlight the biggest and most prevalent examples of my work that are most relevant to where I want to go to work later on, which is the law field. And so you'll be able to see things like my research project of the indivisible demographic is what I named my research project, where I highlighted the demographic of people that don't go to vote, or highlighted people that really we would like to see them go vote, but we don't understand why they're not going to vote. And in this one, I highlighted a local area, Sammamish, how we have a high influx of Indian people, but we don't see them going to go vote, even though their voice is very important, and it should be highlighted that they should go out and get their vote counted. And then we'll go on to more work here. We also have the policy analysis class that I had last quarter, where I learned how to create public policy to solve public issues that we see in our current day. And that's a final that I have right there, so you guys can look at that later on. But under each assignment that you see here is sort of a summary that tells you why I did it, what class it was for, and how it helped me progress in my education. Down here, we'll also go to the next section called the capstone essay. The capstone essay was meant for me to express what abilities I gained throughout my college experience, especially during my time in the Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences program, the LEPP program. And what I really try to do here is really just try to show what abilities I carry into the future. I can carry into the future, and it will help me be successful as I become a lawyer. And throughout this essay, it's kind of a story that kind of highlights what I did as undergrad and shows what abilities I gained and why they're important and how I attained them. And again, it's a long read, but it's really interesting in my point of view as to how I got to where I am now. What this essay is also what this poster is. And in short, this essay is sort of translated onto this poster by how the abilities were attained, how the abilities are going to be important later on in my future. And so if we want to go over it a little bit, we have the background info right here, and you can see that as my time as an undergrad is something I will always look fondly back on. The experiences that I gained and abilities that I gained will have taught me to think outside of the box, to find solutions, find answers through different disciplines and sources, so sort of research, and effectively communicating through public speaking, which is what I'm doing right now. So if we want to go over this poster, we sure can. We already went through the abilities that I've attained, so let me tell you how I was able to attain these. So the first one is thinking outside the box to find solutions. As a lawyer, it's really important to go ahead and find solutions that weren't automatically presented to you, because you're going to have to do some research, some different sort of kind of investigating that aren't always super present. You're going to have to think outside the box to be able to find the best solution for your client as a lawyer. So with this is how the abilities were attained. This ability, I attained it through my policy analysis class that I gave to you, that I told you a little bit about earlier. But what the policy analysis class is it taught me how to create policies for the public per se, and how to create solutions for them. And the policy memo is the artifact that I have here. And the policy memo represents mastery of the policy models that I took for the public policy class. I had to think of a societal or local issue to find a solution for the issue using policy models. And that's what I did in the class. Right here in the artifact, what I decided to do is the issue was traffic accidents and reckless driving on 405. I'm sure you guys drive on 405 a lot. Dad, you go on 405 almost daily. So what I wanted to point out was how many accidents there are and have been on a yearly basis. So a lot of the models included how to see what sort of things would have to be implemented to be able to find a solution later on. And the models that I chose were a model that showed like a graph of how many accidents there were and per year, how many, what solutions we could do to kind of test out what would be the better solution. And ultimately, I came up with a solution that was outside of the box by, I know that you know the, what's it called? The toll lanes, you know the toll lanes, the express lanes, the HOV lanes, how they have some sort of system where they take your picture of the car and then they charge you, right? But then a lot of people try to get out of getting charged, so they swerve out in and out of the lanes, even though it's illegal. So what I thought about it is, since that swerving in and out is pretty dangerous, and drivers that are not in the toll lanes aren't expecting the driver to come back into the middle lane, I figured it would be pretty beneficial to create a barrier, a concrete barrier between the toll lanes and in the middle of the toll lanes and the other lanes. So the people that want to go super fast in the toll lanes can't get back into the regular lanes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In order to kind of secure the safety of the other drivers and make sure that the toll lanes are being used like they're supposed to. So then we'll go through to the next ability to find answers through different disciplines and sources. Here, I decided to highlight the invisible demographic that I went over a little bit earlier with you guys. It was the demographic of voters that aren't getting out to go vote and why they should go vote. But we dived a little bit deeper into exactly why they're not going to go vote. And what this ability kind of tries to highlight is the ability to go and take different themes and take those different themes to connect them and create a central argument. And that's what I tried to do with my indivisible demographic research paper. I took themes of social economic status, social cultural norms, just family life, home life, and just overall work life coming into effect, affecting the people that aren't getting to go vote, showing why they're not going to go vote, and seeing how we can fix those issues that they're facing to not getting to go vote, to actually get them to go vote later on. And as a lawyer, that's super important to be able to create connections through different themes and stories to be able to create an argument for your client. And as a lawyer, you're always trying to find a way to kind of create a case so your client is best set up for success in court. And lastly, effectively communicate through public speaking. I knew that public speaking has always been a struggle for me, and what this has taught me is to pace myself and sort of create hand movements that help me better explain my ideas. And with this class that I decided to take a couple years ago, I had to create an explanation of a speech. So what my speech is trying to pursue the audience as to, it was kind of funny because I decided to use the idea of why cartoons today aren't as good as cartoons that I watched as a kid or you guys watched as a kid, arguing that the cartoons that you guys watched or I watched were more rich in teachings and lessons and values, while the cartoons that the kids watch today aren't as value rich or as teaching rich. And that's going to lead to issues later on in life because they didn't learn the values early on in life. They don't have those values later on, so they just kind of struggle to assimilate to the same kind of society that we've established and come to be accustomed to. So it was pretty interesting to present that as a whole. So overall, I think it was a great experience trying to explain that to my class, and it actually created some dialogue, and it was pretty interesting. So yeah, and then we'll go on to the reflections of my learning goals. Throughout IAS, I had learning goals, and you can see here I had collaboration and shared leadership, critical and creative thinking, diversity and equity, interdisciplinary research and inquiry, writing and communication. And those were the kind of themes that we had to hit as we went throughout our college experience. Seeing how we were hitting those was pretty cool, because each theme that we have here has a piece of work of mine that I did and shows how I went ahead and attained that goal, if that makes sense. And then you can see that for every single one. You can see that here along the side, all the learning goals I have right there, each one has a assignment that I created for it throughout my college experience. Yeah. So then we'll go to the last little piece right here of what's next for my career. And so as you guys know, what is next for me as in my career or after I graduate, it's pretty uncertain with this kind of uncertain times that we're living in with the COVID-19 era. But as I prepare to graduate, I know that I'm looking forward to going into the paralegal certificate program at the University of Washington. And that's going to be a very interesting process for me because I'll be challenged with dealing with that, with work, and as you know, my little family that's coming up. So I'm excited for that, but as long as I have you guys by my side, I know I can finish that pretty strong. But you guys can also see right here a cover letter that I have for that I can use as a sample when I take this along to my other interviews and stuff like that, showing them what my writing abilities are, what skills I can show for when I work with them. And I think it's overall a really good tool that I can use. Hopefully it'll show what I can do as an employee, what I can do for the company, and what the company will be able to do for me. Because ultimately, as you guys know, my goal in life is to eventually become an attorney. And yeah, do you guys have any questions about the presentation, the essay, the website?
Well, I think you did a really good job. I'm really surprised that all the writing that you have in each tab that you have in your portfolio here, very interesting. And one of my questions is, when you realized that medicine wasn't for you, what inspired you to change to the law and economy public policy major?
Yeah, like I said, when I was in my first year of undergrad, I took a couple policy courses, democracy classes. It really introduced me into the idea of law and society that we have right now. And it really just fascinated me. I watched a lot of shows growing up too about law, and I always thought that was pretty interesting, but it would never really grab me as much as it did when I started taking those courses. And overall, the professors that I had made it even more interesting. So thankfully for them, I was able to cross paths with them, and they were able to introduce me into what is now the field that I really want to go into. Yeah.
That's,
Questions?
I'm very happy that you are that I'm seeing such an enthusiasm when you give us this presentation. And but I'm really curious. Why did you choose to study law?
I really wanted to study law after, like I explained them all, the courses that I took. But not only that, I knew that I wanted to help people. And after medicine didn't work out, I was going to be able to, what I wanted to do with medicine is be a physical therapist and work one-on-one with somebody. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, which is fine because I found law. As a lawyer, I think you can work even better to help people to not fix their bones, but fix their problems. You can fix their home living situation. If they get caught for a criminal felony, you can help them get out of it. And I think just working with people is one of the best and most rewarding experiences you could have, because you get to know somebody, and eventually not only do you gain a client, but you also gain a friend, hopefully at the end of the day. And for me, that's what it's all about. I want to be able to not work, I want to be able to help, if that makes sense.
that makes sense. And in today, how do you say, social problems that we live in lately, well, this week, if you were already a lawyer or were working in public policy, how will you help to solve the social problems that we live in now, like with the police and with the Black lives and all people of color? Because it's not only one situation, it's a whole thing. How will you help now if you were there in a position to help?
If I was in the position to help, I think the most powerful position I would try to go into is to be the public defense attorney. What a public defense attorney is, it's an attorney that is appointed by the state to any convicted person of committing any crime. So I believe the best way to help people at this point in time is to help them get out of issues that were convictions that they have been wrongly accused of. And we see that all the time in news of people getting convicted wrongly of drug possession, rape, crimes like that. Obviously, it would take a little bit of convincing to do one of those harder crimes like rape or murder. But as a public defense attorney, you get a lot of experience working with those sorts of people. DOIs also, and just regular crimes that you see all the time on the news. A lot of the times people get convicted wrong. And so I think it's the best way to go about helping people in this time I think would be as a public defense lawyer, and really trying to help those that have been wrongly accused to be proven innocent.
Excellent. Good job.
Thank you. And that's it.